clips themselves is actually better, and the game typically does pick the best moment that happens in the match. I'm kidding. But I've had a lot of different quad feeds, because as you guys know, I do quad feed every gun every single year, and I usually get a head start by playing the betas of the game. And more often than not, if I got a clean quad feed, or if I got like a split 5 or 6 man feed, that was usually going to be the play of the game. Another amazing feature that came back with the Black Ops 6 beta, and it's going to be in the full multiplayer as well, is the winner's circle. If you guys are big fans of Black Ops 3, you're going to be really happy to see this return, because basically the top 3 players of the winning team, they get showcased at the end. You can see their skin. What makes this feature so much fun is the fact that, like in previous COD games as well, you can spam your emotes at the end, so it just ultimately looks really goofy. It's a dumb, silly, but fun feature that's coming back, and I can't wait to see what other kinds of emotes will be added in Black Ops 6 multiplayer when it's fully out. Because ultimately, the Black Ops 6 beta, the shushing emote, is the one that's intended to be spammed the most. Which, by the way, that's another fun feature that is back here in Black Ops 6 multiplayer as well, in-game emotes. Obviously, since this is just a beta for Black Ops 6, we were limited as to what emotes we could use, but I'm sure it'll be working in no time, just like you could in Black Ops 4. But for real, this is just another little dumb, silly, fun feature that's in the multiplayer of the game, and overall, I do think it is a good thing. I know some players are not the biggest fans of being able to do emotes in-game, but honestly, I think you need to just have more fun. It's just a video game, man. I feel like some people take it too seriously, and being able to do emotes in-game is just, it's fun. But next up, let's talk about the kill feed in the game. I feel like it moves at a decent speed. It's not moving faster than it was in Modern Warfare 3, but fucking go! It seems like Treyarch also like improved the kill feed by having less interruptions. So like if someone leaves the game, or if they connect to the match, you can see that near the kill feed, but it doesn't actually interrupt it or split feed. Really nice. But overall, going forward with all the games, I think it would be really nice if we could have more customization control over the kill feed itself, whether that's the size of the kill feed, how many guns show up in the kill feed itself, how long it stays on the screen, possibly...
Are you gonna school, Emily?
Especially because of this next feature that is also brand new for Call of Duty multiplayer, which is the HUD presets. This really allows you to tweak and customize your HUD. Now, obviously, I'm a basic bitch. I basically kept that thing on default, except for changing the minimap from circle to square. But overall, I do think that this is a great quality of life feature, and I know there's definitely going to be some people out there running different HUD presets compared to just the default HUD that the game gives you. As a prime example, I have a buddy named Soba, and he plays Call of Duty multiplayer on an ultra-wide kind of setup. And he was telling me that the HUD is typically too far away, like it's on the absolute outer edges of the ultra-wide. And even though I'm blanking on the name of the HUD presets that he chose, he did change it. It's one of the HUD presets that basically kind of brings in those HUD elements more to the center of the screen. I'm not trying to drag this on for too long or harp on it, but I just think it's really nice that we have HUD presets, and I can't wait to see if there's going to be more of these available in the full game. I say this one, I can't remember if I did mention it, but I'm going to mention it again anyway. I forgot, but the death animations are absolutely hilarious. Treyarch created hundreds, if not thousands, of unique death animations, depending on what you guys do in the game, whether that's kill from a shotgun, or a sniper rifle, or, a great explosion. This goes hand in hand with the visual fidelity of the game. It's just that extra little bit of attention to detail that they put into Black Ops 6 multiplayer that just makes it feel so much more unique than what we typically experience. And if you guys have been keeping up with my Black Ops 6 videos, you might have seen this one. What the... Absolutely hilarious, man. Now, for controller players, this next one might not sound as great. I know that keyboard players are having a field day with this, and it is the reduction of rotational emphasis. I think it's at like 3 meters or less. If an enemy player basically sprints right past you or dives or slides right next to you, rotational emphasis on controller is not going to kick in, which basically means that the game is not going to turn for you, which massively increases the competitiveness of super close range gunfights. And it really does help level the playing field between 40-year-old dads playing this game on their 65-inch flat screen TV after a long day of work versus us PC elitists who are playing on a perfect $10,000 PC sitting on perfect $10,000 gaming chair, $10,000 keyboards and mices. Yes, this is just a joke. Overall, I do feel like this is a good change. I play Call of Duty on both controller and keyboard mouse, and the aim assist has gone kind of a little too strong in recent years. It makes playing other games on controller feel worse, and overall, I do think it's good to see some kind of reduction in aim assist on controller. But guys, this is it. This is the last good thing I have to say about the Black Ops 6 beta. This is the last little bit of glaze going on that Jelly Donut, and it is classic perks and the specialty perks in Black Ops 6. I really do like that we have what feels more like an actual perk system in the game versus, you know, like the boots and gear and gloves in Modern Warfare 3, it just feels right, man. It feels good to have blue, red, and green perks when you back. But at the same time, if you pick all red or all blue or all green perks, you're also given a little specialty bonus. You get an extra perk. And depending on which one you pick, it gives you a pretty massive bonus. Throughout the first weekend of the beta, I basically exclusively ran all red perks because that essentially gives you quick fix. There's no other way to really get quick fix in the game since the default health regen is a little slow, it feels like. It's nice to have quick fix in the game because then you don't feel like you have to run stim shots as much. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the good section of the video. Now let's talk about the neutral. We're actually going to be going back to the identity of the game. I know that I said it was a positive thing, and it still is. However, I do want to talk about the operators and the weapon blueprints that you get for pre-ordering the Vault edition of the game, because it makes the game feel more goofy and less serious. I'm not saying this is necessarily a deal breaker. I mean, on Modern Warfare 3 last year, there were all kinds of ridiculous skins, and I bought quite a bit of them because they were fun, they were goofy. But just because it's not a deal breaker for me personally doesn't mean that it's not going to be a deal breaker for someone else. If someone sees, you know, like a Brutus skin or a Klaus skin running around the game, sliding all over the place with their shiny, fancy, you know, Jackal PDW pre-order blueprint skin, that might make them not want to play the game. If they see some ridiculous goofball going around the game in these wacky skins using their wacky guns, it might be a little bit of a turn-off for some players. And overall, since this is the beta of the multiplayer, it almost kind of feels like they're trying to initiate us, like they want us to have an expectation that this game is not going to have super serious Milsim Black Ops operators. No, we're only going to be getting clowns and anime skins in a matter of months. And that's why I'm kind of conflicted. Like, that's why I don't think this is a fully bad thing, because they're kind of being honest about what the game's going to turn into in a matter of months. And I think it goes without saying that seeing anime skins and all these flashy animations and blueprints, at least for some of the guns, it just definitely looks great or version. Okay, so that's it for identity. Now let's talk about the body shield again. I know, I praised this. I said it was like the most good feature, right? It is kind of inconsistent on controller, at least. There were a number of times when I got an enemy player and I tried to click the button twice, and instead, it would just melee the guy once in the back, then he'd turn around and I'd either finish him off and kill him, or he'd kill me. Kind of embarrassing, not gonna lie, it kind of sucks when you have that advantage and you have the ability to do it, but the input itself isn't actually working. I think a simple solution for this would be if there's a way to rebind the ability to take someone's body shield on controller, like if there's a different button you can click, because I will say, on keyboard and mouse, performing a body shield was way easier, because you can actually just bind it to a specific key. When I was playing the Black Ops 6 beta on keyboard and mouse, I didn't have to click my melee button twice, I just programmed it to one of my mouse buttons. So yeah, it would be great if they could try to improve this for the full of the game. Next up is the builds feature in the game. It seems like a good feature once you kind of understand it, once you played around with it, but at first I just read it this annoying. I had multiple classes with the same sniper. Like as a specific example, I wanted to make multiple classes with the LR762. I wanted to have a class for just regular reg scope quick scoping. I wanted to have a red dot sniper, and I wanted to have one where I would increase the bullet penetration and the hipfire accuracy so I could go for like crazy diving no scopes and stuff. I had made 3 different classes for 3 different playstyles of sniping, but for some reason, it kept replacing all the attachments for all of the builds. And dude, I was so confused because I hadn't even made a custom build up until that point, but it just kept copying my attachments no matter what I was doing. I feel like as time goes on, this feature will make more sense and it won't be as confusing to idiots like me, but I do feel like this could be a pain point for some of the dum-dums that are playing the game. And maybe Treyarch could have some kind of quick little tutorial or an explanation of how to actually use the builds feature in the game. Because at first you're going to find it pretty annoying, but once you figure it out, it's not that bad. Next up, let's talk about the time to kill and weapon balance in the Black Ops 6 beta. Now, I'm sure some of you guys would have probably found this to just try to be in the bad section. Without a doubt, for the first weekend of the game, the Jackal PDW SMG dominated the entire game. And what's ironic about that is that it apparently has a slower time to kill at its maximum damage range compared to the C9, which is basically the MP5 of the game. However, that doesn't really tell the full story of the Jackal PDW. It was clearly head and shoulders above everything else in the game in terms of its damage range performance, its overall ease of use. I mean, dude, it's the first default class that you get in the Black Ops 6 beta. It's one of the first guns that everyone gets their creepy little paws on, and once they use the gun, they're not going to get their paws off. I've seen some tweets that are implying that it's going to be nerfed for the second week of the beta, but I don't necessarily know them to do that quite yet, and you'll see why in the bad section of the video later on. But overall, for the neutral section of the video, I do think that the Jackal was too overtuned. It was too strong. And as far as the weapon balance in the game, I also kind of feel like rapid fire could end up becoming a crutch, because once you unlock that, it does seem like it's going to reduce the time to kill for a lot of different weapons, But even aside from that,
was a
like,
hell of a
rapid
count.
fire felt like it was a crutch
Caught
for
me
the
off guard.
LR762. Like, the default sniper just does not have fast enough fire rates to keep up with the fast-paced nature of the game. Same thing pretty much goes for the shotgun as well as some of the pistols in the game. Like, once you get rapid fire unlocked for them, they become significantly better. And maybe that's worth looking into, but it's also kind of hard to say because the time to kill, the weapon balance, it's all very much a fine balance. You know, once the time to kill in these games gets too ridiculously fast, I just feel like Treyarch is going to have to be mindful of the balance and how the attachments are also affecting it as well. It's definitely not easy, man. I mean, a prime example, too, is the SWAT marksman rifle. That thing was super underrated. Like, that thing was potentially better than the Jackal PW in certain situations. Like, it's just extremely consistent. It's like a one-burst kill in a lot of different scenarios. And I don't know if you could get rapid fire unlocked for it, but if you could, man, that thing's probably going to be slapped the second we get to beta. Now, this next thing I'm going to mention might surprise you guys because I didn't put it on the good section of the Black Ops 6 beta, but I also feel like it's not a bad thing either.